Stories are the most powerful thing on earth. They are literally life and death. Wars are waged based on the story of who is the hero and who is the villain. You are the result of a story your parents told each other, the one-night stand, the soulmate, and friends who became so much more. Life and death. So wouldn't you like to understand them better, these stories? How Story Works, an elegant guide to the craft of storytelling by Lani Diane Rich, demystifies stories and helps you understand why you love what you love, why you hate what you hate, and why prologues are almost always a bad idea. How Story Works by Lani Diane Rich. Available on Amazon in ebook, audiobook, and paperback form. Get your copy today.
Welcome to Still Pretty, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer podcast from Chipperish Media. I'm film scholar with too many thoughts, Noelle LaCroix.
And I'm story expert and exotic mushroom, Lani Diane Rich. And we are here today to talk about Lie to Me, the 7th episode of Season 2.
Lie to Me first aired on November 3rd, 1997, and was written and directed by some guy named Joss Whedon.
I know, imagine that. Some weirdo rando just stepping in to, do an episode or whatever. A warning before we begin. Every episode of Still Pretty talks about each episode within the greater context of all of the Buffyverse, and as such is fully spoiled. All right, ours is a forbidden love, so let's go on patrol. In Lie to Me, Buffy sees Angel talking to Drusilla, and they're looking pretty chummy. Instead of talking to him about it, she runs off. The next day, her friend Ford from her old school shows up in town. Sans floppy hair, but chock full of douchebag.
So you two were sweeties in 5th grade?
Not even. Ford wouldn't give me the time of day.
Well, I was a manly 6th grader. Couldn't be bothered with someone that young.
The crew hits the bronze that night, and when Buffy sees Angel, she asks him about the night before. He lies to her, saying he stayed in all night reading. She pouts, refusing to tell him why she's upset, and leaves with Ford. Outside, a vampire is attacking a girl, and Buffy asks Ford to go into the bronze for her purse. He doesn't, and sees her slaying a vampire, and Buffy has a perfectly reasonable explanation.
There's a cat. A cat here. And, then there was another cat. And they fought. The cats. And then they left.
Oh. I thought you were just slaying a vampire.
While Buffy's relieved that she doesn't have to worry about Ford discovering her dark secret, it turns out that Ford has a secret of his own. He's part of an underground vampire cult with a plan.
A couple more days and we'll get to do the 2 things every American teen should have the chance to do. Die young. And stay pretty.
It turns out Ford pinged Angel's spidey sense, so he goes to Willow's house at night, despite the fact that we've established that he has a phone, and asks her to invite him in and spy on Ford and lie to Buffy about it. She agrees, but not before telling Angel that jealousy doesn't look good on him.
Yeah, I get jealous, but I know people, and my gut tells me this is a wrong guy.
Okay. But if there isn't anything weird... Hey, that's weird.
What?
I just checked the school records, and he's not in them.
The next night, Angel, Willow, and Xander go to check out Ford's sketchy vampire cult club and discover that it is, indeed, hella sketchy. Meanwhile, Buffy and Ford come across vampires on campus, and Buffy calls Giles in from his monster truck date with Jenny to figure out what's going on. Giles gratefully goes to his books, and Buffy sees an old picture that catches her attention.
Who's this?
She's called Drusilla, a sometime paramour of Spike's. She was killed by an angry mob in Prague.
Well, they don't make angry mobs like they used to, because this girl's alive.
At school, the vampire that Ford said he killed steals one of Giles's books, and Buffy's spidey sense goes off. At the warehouse, Spike is interrogating Drusilla about her visit with Angel when Ford shows up with the book the vampire stole and tells Spike he wants to become a vampire.
I've known you for 2 minutes and I can't stand you. I don't really feature you living forever. Can I eat him now, love?
Ford offers Spike a trade, the Slayer for eternal life as a vampire. At Buffy's house, Angel stops by, tells her the story of how he tormented and eventually turned Drusilla, and then tells her that he and Xander and Willow have been looking into Ford.
I don't know what he wants from you, But you can't trust them.
Buffy goes to the club and confronts Ford. The door to the club closes with everyone inside, and they all think the vampires are going to turn them. Buffy tries to get them out, and Ford tells her he's dying, and becoming a vampire is the only way to cheat death. Spike and his gang of merry vamps come in, and Buffy puts a stake to Drusilla's heart.
Spike!
Everybody stop!
Good idea. Now you let everybody out or your girlfriend fits in an ashtray.
Spike tells the vampires to let the idiots go. Buffy throws Drusilla at Spike and escapes, locking Ford in with the vamps. Later, Buffy returns and collects Ford's body. At night, she waits by his grave in case he rises, and Giles waits with her.
Nothing's ever simple anymore. I'm constantly trying to work it out. Who to love or hate, who to trust. It's just like the more I know, the more confused I get.
I believe that's called growing up.
I'd like to stop then, okay?
Ford rises, and Buffy slays him. She turns to Giles and asks him if it ever gets easy.
What do you want me to say?
Lie to me.
Yes, it's terribly simple. The good guys are always stalwart and true. The bad guys are easily distinguished by their pointy horns or black hats. And we always defeat them and save the day. No one ever dies, and everybody lives happily ever after.
God, that is like my favorite part ever.
It's so good.
Giles' whole speech at the end. I love it so much.
Yep. He's so great. We get some really good Giles.
All right, so Noelle, tell me, what'd you think of Lie to Me?
False conflict alert! False conflict alert!
Well spotted, baby.
Just, come on, you guys. Come on. I mean...
All right. Now, you know how I feel about false conflict. And for those of you out there who haven't heard me rant about this before, false conflict is when you have two people who are in conflict. And if they had just had a conversation, they would realize it was all a misunderstanding and everything would be fine. If conflict can be resolved by a conversation, it is false conflict. However, that said, as much as I usually am the one to rant and rail about false conflict, I think we're okay here.
Yeah?
I think it's okay. I think that because, okay, very specific circumstances here. We have an entire episode that is all about lies and secrets and trust.
Yes.
So thematically, it blends, and
Sure.
it works in there. On top of that, she sees him, with Drusilla. It looks really super chummy. She runs off, of course, and as a teenage girl, I can see why she would do that. But the next night, she talks to him and gives him a chance to tell her honestly what was happening, So it's less, and he lies to her, but it's less about false conflict and more about her just kind of putting him to the test, and making sure that he's being straight with her.
Yeah.
So I feel like this one, I mean, it is definitely, it is definitely a false conflict, but I feel like this one kind of gets a pass. It gets a pass from me anyway.
Okay, fair enough. I think what I don't like is when she asks him about the night before and he says nothing and she says nothing at all. You cease to exist. That feels like a jerk line to me. That's using your powers of smartassery for evil instead of good. And I don't prefer it. I don't like it. But
in that moment, she knows that he's lying to her. I mean, granted, she's also lying to him by pretending that she doesn't know where he was and what he was doing the night before, because she does, right? So, I mean, it's it's not like I absolutely see your point, but I kind of feel like I understand why she's upset with him at that point.
Sure.
I understand, I mean, I get it. Being lied to is a terrible, terrible thing. And it is a betrayal in a relationship, So, I mean, I kind of get it. I you're right. It's not that you're not right.
Well, no.
It's just that I kind of get it. Yeah.
And it's just that, I mean, you know how I feel about Buffy and Angel. I just kind of, fine. That's
fine. Whatever.
That's fine. That's fine. I mean, I like Buffy saying to Giles about Angel, it's so sweet. Giles says, you should take the night off and spend some time with Angel. And she says he might have other plans. And, okay. But I love the idea that maybe dating Miss Calendar has made Giles more agreeable to the idea of someone having a romantic life.
Oh, sure. Right.
Even
he
a
wants
Slayer?
the night off. Right. So now that he's going to take the night off to go to monster trucks,
Yes.
she can have a night off as well. Right.
Oh, dear God.
I love that moment too with Giles and Jenny, where she's like, it's a surprise, and he's like, well, how do I know what to wear? She's like, do you have anything else?
Giles wears tweed to sleep. Like he has.
He does. He does. In a couple of years, we're going to see depressed sweater Giles, but I believe that he just goes shopping at that point. That he didn't have those sweaters at this point. When we get to sweater Giles, that's a very fun, kind of sad Giles.
It's like, no, these jackets are too chipper for my mental health right now.
Right. This tweed is just too flashy.
It is too flashy. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it's a minor thing in the episode, but Giles and Jenny in this episode just absolutely delight me. I love their little flirtation as they're walking through the school, which, I mean, they're being pretty open about being flirty with each other.
Yeah.
That just seems kind of, I don't know. Somehow that doesn't seem right to me, but I also like the idea that the adults in this world are the ones who are out in the open about what's going on in their lives. Right. That's sort of reassuring.
Yeah,
but I mean, Buffy and Angel. And Angel. I don't know. I mean, it's not the healthiest relationship, you guys. Like, jealousy,
Yeah.
And the way, oh God, the way Angel explains his feelings about Buffy to Willow, just, no. His whole like, oh, it never used to be that way. Like, I never used to. And what I thought he was saying at first was that he never had trouble with jealousy before. But what he's actually saying is that he never had trouble with jealousy because he didn't have anybody in his life. He was honing his brooding skills.
He was withdrawn from the world,
Yeah.
Living in alleys, eating rats,
Right.
and I guess at that point it's hard to have the emotional wherewithal to get jealous of anything. But yeah, it was that and he says for 100 years. So he's talking about just since the time he got a soul.
Yeah.
And before that, I don't think he was ever jealous because he didn't care.
Right.
Like, he didn't care about Darla. He didn't care, so I mean, I think he did care about Darla, but like not in that way.
Right.
And not in a way that would make him jealous. And so he's like, I was by myself. I didn't have to think. And then, I get jealous. And so, I didn't mind that because he was being honest about it, but he was also saying, yeah, I'm jealous, but that's not why, I'm looking into this guy. But let's talk a little bit about Angel, because this is not peak Angel in this episode. We have him in the opening with Drusilla, which is amazing.
Oh,
right?
God, yeah.
And he can't hurt her. She says something to him like, I know you can't hurt me.
Yeah.
Right? But it's not
What
that
are you
he
gonna
can't,
do?
because she's a
Yeah.
vampire. He kills vampires, no problem. But he can't hurt her. He's done so much to her that he can't hurt her anymore. And so I kind of like that with him and her. What I really dislike is when he goes to Willow's, right? He goes to Willow's. It's nighttime.
Yeah.
She has parents. She's a teenage girl. Now, the thing is, we have given kind of a pass. Well, at least I have, to Angel being 224 years older than Buffy.
Yeah.
Right? She's 16. He's 240. It's a bit of an age jump, right?
Yeah.
But we've talked about that in terms of the power differential and the things that make her special as a Slayer, and that she is an adult, like living in an adult world, even though she's still kind of a kid. So we sort of give that a pass. Him going to Willow's house, to the house of a 16-year-old girl at night, and then asking her to, to look into Buffy's friend, right, to betray Buffy, and then asking her to lie about it. All of that stuff, not okay. Like, and also, like, we have established, dude has a phone. Giles has called him on the phone before. He's got a landline. He can't call her. And I know phones are terrible. Phones are terrible on screen. You never want people in phones. That's why everybody's always going to each other's house in TV and movies, even though, in reality, we text each other, because texting and phone calls are death on film. Absolutely, I get it. But all of this I find completely inappropriate, for him to put her in that position, to make her invite him into her house. If you're the kind of person that like a mystical barrier exists to keep you from going into people's houses, like getting an invitation is a big deal.
Yeah.
Asking for an invitation is a big deal. And I know he's got a soul, and he knows he's not going to hurt her, right?
Yeah.
But still, like, it feels wrong to me. And this moment has always, kind of struck me the wrong way. Did you pick up on that? Did that bother you?
No, I didn't pick up on any of that. I absolutely love this scene. I feel like this is such great Angel and such great Willow. And I completely see your point. But something about the way it's played, something about the performance, both of their performances. And because we've established earlier in the episode at the Bronze, Willow is offering to play pool with Angel, which I just think is so sweet. Like, she's trying to include him in the group because she knows how everybody feels about everybody. And, she says, well, we could still play. And it's just really, it's like so sweet. Like, she is trying to be on board with this guy that her friend cares about. So she doesn't, it is weird that he shows up at her house, and I also just love the way he does it. He seems so sorry that he's there. Like, I kind of, he's got this kind of hangdog look, like, oh, I hate to ask you, but, and she's like, oh yeah, come on in, or oh yeah, and then, doesn't say anything, and he says, I can't.
And then she says, come in. But then she has to say to him, hey, if I tell you something you don't want to hear, do you promise not to bite me? And it's cute.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, like she is very aware that he is a vampire, and the trust that she's putting in him by inviting him into her house, like, is huge. And so like, I honestly, like, I love Willow in this scene, and I like Angel in this scene too. Yeah. But that feels really inappropriate to me.
Yeah,
it feels like boundaries are just being pushed, and and it doesn't feel like an Angel thing to put her in that position.
Yeah, it doesn't align very well with the other Angel that we've seen.
Yeah.
Up to this point, but I don't know. There's something about it that I really, really like. I think there's something very sweet about the way he says, she says, kind of annoyed, I'm not supposed to have boys in my room. I know. And the way she says it to him, like, I know this is a silly rule. You know this is a silly rule. We both know there's nothing between us, and I'm still going to get in trouble if someone finds out you're here. And the way he says something like, I promise to behave myself. But he says it like that line and the will you promise not to bite me line, those are lines that to me could have gone a number of different ways. Yeah. And the way that the actors take those lines, it's very sweet. It reads very sweet to me, and
it is very
creepy.
Sweet. Yeah.
Like, it could have been very creepy. And I see how this is not, like, it doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's not great Angel behavior in terms of, like, he has a phone. He could contact Giles. There's we've seen him do all of these things. We've seen him go to Giles, but to go to Willow, I guess his excuse is that he wants her to look Ford up on the internet. On the World Wide Web.
On the net.
On the net.
I'm net girl.
I'm the net girl. It's just so great.
It's so adorable.
You need, I guess I need help. And she says, with homework? Oh no, because you're old and you know stuff.
It is. Everything in this scene is really adorable. It's just so that bothered me.
Yeah.
The position that he was putting her in, not just with asking for her to invite him in, but also asking her to lie to Buffy. Yeah. And she's obviously very uncomfortable with that.
Oh God, it's
obviously
so funny.
His instincts are right.
So
but
funny.
Still,
You want me to lie? It's Buffy. like if it were anyone else, Willow would be totally fine. But I'm not gonna lie to Buffy. Are you kidding me?
Exactly. Exactly. She can't lie to Buffy. Buffy's her best friend.
Oh.
I mean, that's serious, you know?
And then, I'm sorry, but then that leads into just some of the best Willow. I know we're supposed to be talking about Angel, but I got it bad
let's
for
shift
Willow.
over. I'm done
and
with
I have
Angel.
it real bad for Willow in this episode.
Yes.
She walks up to the drinking fountain at school the next day, and Buffy says, Willow, and she spins around like, oh, God, and then freezes because she realizes that there's nothing she could do. That, Allison Hannigan, I mean,
she's so great.
I have no words. It's so perfect. It's so perfect. Oh, it's so good. But then we contrast, we get this kind of, to my eye, kind of adorable Angel where he's talking to Willow and he's, oh, shucks, I guess I'm jealous. Wearing way too much makeup, by the way.
Oh, no. What is going on? And this, I think, is the only episode where they do that with him, where he's got the white powder face, he's got the eyeshadow, he's got the eyeliner, he's got the lipstick. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is a bit much. And I think they were trying to really play up the visual vampire thing.
Yeah.
And I think this is the only time. I think they did it here and they were like, nope, that's not working. And they just let it go.
It looks
but it
so
is distracting.
It looks so wrong in that scene with Willow.
It is weird.
And she's got on they did a super dark lip on her too.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if that just was what the lighting situation was or so. It looks wrong. It takes me out of it. But he's so sweet in a kind of a strange way in that scene with Willow.
Mm-hmm.
But then when he goes to Buffy's house and tells her what he did to Drusilla, it's just the tone is so different and it's so dark. And Angel is a little bit all over the place here in terms of tone and in terms of who he is when he's with different characters, because he's really stern with Drusilla at the beginning until she reminds him, oh no, you can't hurt me anymore. And then he can't meet her gaze.
Yeah.
He can't.
Yeah, well, because he's got shame from that past.
yeah.
And I love that story. The history with Angel and Drusilla, I think, is so great and so textured. And she is such a source of shame and guilt for him.
Oh, for sure.
And when he's warning her, he's like, you got to get out. You can't, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. And he's just trying to get her out of his town without hurting her because he can't bring himself to do it after everything he did to her.
Yeah, because, but she's absolutely right. What is he going to do other than kill her?
He could stake her.
He could.
He staked Darla.
True.
But
True.
this is different. Drusilla represents the height of his shame, that he tormented her while she was alive. Until she finally went into a convent. And then the day she takes holy orders, he turns her into a demon. It is so incredibly cruel. And his history with her that we're going to see play out, a little bit, I think, in Buffy, but mostly over in the Angel series, where we get so much more about that history there. But it is, it's dark, and everything in this episode is really dark. Not just the fact that it's dark because they shoot it dark to the point where you can barely see anything.
Oh my God. Is it the middle of the night on that playground?
Always.
At the beginning, it's always the middle of the night in Sunnydale.
It's always the middle of the night. But yes, this child out on the playground and he's like, oh, Mom, and I'm like, is your mom working second shift? And she's like, just play until midnight when I come and pick you up.
It's so dark.
It is. It's really weird. But it's it's a dark episode, and it's dark in a lot of ways that I think are really, really interesting. I love, one of the things I love about this episode is that it is so thematically on point. We never let go of the fact that we are talking about trust issues, we're talking about lies, we're talking about secrets, and a whole range of secrets. We have, Jenny and Giles. Jenny has a secret. She's bringing him to monster trucks. That is a light, happy, twinkling piano in the background kind of secret, And then we've got, Ford has a secret from Buffy. Buffy, of course, has her secret being the Slayer. She's, she knows about Angel and she's not telling him. Like, we've got all of these things going on, all of these secrets that people are keeping, all of these, Buffy or Willow and Xander are not telling Buffy that they were checking up on Ford. Like, there's everything. The only people that don't have secrets from each other during this is Spike and Drusilla.
Yeah, that's true. Except that Drusilla doesn't tell Spike.
About Angel, right? No, she does.
That she went out. He finds out from one of the other vampires, and she doesn't really say anything to him about it. He is sort of interrogating her about it. Yeah. But she doesn't tell him one way or the other.
No, that's true. She does have a secret. Yeah, so everybody's got secrets. It's kind of cool. Yeah. Like, I love, it's about secrets and lies and trust. And, the fact that you can't really trust anybody. And I kind of love that. We have it. We visit it so much. I mean, there's that moment with Buffy and Angel where she says, I love you. I don't know if I can trust you, and then Angel says, I don't know what Ford wants from you, but you can't trust him. It's just, it's so fun. And it's so, like, I mean, I guess not fun, but like, it's so deep and it's woven through every scene. Everything in this entire episode is about that. Who do you trust? Yeah. Can you trust the people that you love? Yeah. It's and Buffy, loves Ford. She's, grown up with him. Like, she has that affection for him. She loves Willow. She loves Xander. Everybody lies to her in this episode. Yeah. Except Giles. I don't think Giles lies to her.
I don't think he does. No.
Yeah.
Well, he does at the end, but she asks him to.
Right. Oh my God. I love that. We're going to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah. Even down to our super, super minor characters, Diego and Chanterelle at the Sunset Club. I love Chanterelle so much. I was so excited to see her.
It is so fun to see Julia Lee. Over in Still Dead, we just recently did another episode with her when she has, progressed through her identities, her 3 beat of identities, right? Yes. First she's Chanterelle, then she's Lily, and then she takes over Buffy's identity from the beginning of Buffy season 3 and becomes Anne. And so over in Angel, she is simply Anne, who runs a local teen shelter, But it is so fun seeing her move, through all of these identities. And yet at the heart, it's the same character. Yeah. And she seeing her in her first space, as Chanterelle is really fun.
And she is just trust, like, embodied in this episode.
Innocence. Wide-eyed, stupid innocence. Well, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's, I'm not sure it's stupid. I think it's hopeful. Again, this is another one of those things that on the page, I'm not sure looked like much, but what she does with it is just incredible. I mean, she's the one, she admits to being nervous about what's going to happen, but then kind of, I mean, maybe that's the lie. Maybe she's lying to herself about being ready for this, what she believes is going to be a transformation. She's the one who trusts Xander and Willow when they come looking around. She walks up to them and welcomes them, and it's very sweet and sincere. I love her sincerity. And then she's the one who goes up the stairs to meet the vampires as they're coming in, and of course, as Spike bites her. But her trust in this cult essentially is what is, this is what's moving her forward. She's able to stand there and face Spike in his vamp face, which is uncharacteristically horrifying. Like, they really scaried him up for this episode. But Chanterelle is able to stand there, and she's afraid. We can see it on her face, but she's trusting that this is going to work out for her. And I think that is fascinating. And then, of course, we have Diego. That's his chosen name. I forget what his
Marvin.
Poor Marvin. But he's, he says to Ford over and over, I'm trusting you here. I'm really going out on a limb. You're asking me to put a lot of faith in you and that sort of thing. So we've got the trust theme all the way down. Yeah. All the way down. And it's so good. And some of that trust is earned and some of it is not. Some of those characters, like, I mean, Ford kind of gives us our thesis for the episode when he says everybody lies and that's his excuse. Yeah. And I just hate him in that moment so much. But he's a great villain because he's right in that way. He's right that, Buffy calls him on his lies and he says everybody lies. And it's true. And it's certainly true in this episode.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it's interesting, though, because we have this movement with Buffy. And I kind of love this because we have like a true loss of innocence. We always talk about innocence, especially with girls in terms of, virginity, which of course is a construct and whatever, when we talk about innocence, we're always talking about sex, but a loss of innocence is really like this. It is this understanding that, that things don't always work out the way that they should, that being right and good doesn't mean that good things are going to happen to you, that, that you can't trust people, that everybody lies, right? Yeah. It is a real loss of that sense of innocence, and I find that so interesting because this is a moment for me, like this season for Buffy has a lot of different, rites of passage for her, right? Lots of different spaces in which she has to grow up and by grow up, it just means like, accept that darkness, understand that, this is the way things are, see the world, kind of lose any sense of, of simplicity, right? Yes. That everything is complex, everything is nuanced, nothing is untouched by corruption, and that it's that loss of innocence that begins in this episode. Like, this is really where she starts to have that. Yep. And I love seeing her kind of work through that, all the way from the beginning to the end where she's standing with Giles, at the grave and asks him to lie to her. And it is so beautiful. I love that moment. I love Giles all the way through this thing. Giles, he is peak Giles.
This is some really, really good Giles. Yeah. We have really good Giles.
He's just fantastic.
But before we dive into our excellent Giles, what you said about loss of innocence really, really resonated with me because there's a beautiful visual depiction of that in this episode. Angel goes to Buffy's house, tells her about what he did to Drusilla, and we get this fascinating shot. He's told her, and we end the scene by cutting to a long shot of them through the window from the outside of the house. Yeah. So she's sitting at the dining table, Angel's standing, and we get this fascinating shot of them through the window. It's like just domestic sorrow. She's kind of hunched over. He's sort of leaning forward. There's this visual divide between them of the line of the window frame. And from there, from that moment, we cut to Buffy in sunlight at school, presumably the next day. And we go from night to day, and her costume changed from white in her house to black at school. And it's a lovely visual echo. It's not the same shirt or same sweater in black, but it's very similar. So we get this we sort of see her in the opposite, it's a color and light flipped version of Buffy. And she's standing there sort of in mourning with this knowledge. And that is the end of Buffy and Angel for this episode. This is not, we don't loop back to them. We end with his confession of past sins, and then we go right to her right back to her being Buffy, the high school student, Buffy, the vampire slayer. We see her interaction with Ford and the club, and then Giles at the end, but we never get back to Angel, and I think that's fascinating.
Yeah.
And then
her going from white to black, right? Because she is then carrying that darkness with her, right? He has in that moment, like, there is an innocence lost for her.
Oh yeah.
And is she going to choose to still love this man, and trust this man after knowing what he's done, you know? And so it is really interesting. I love that you called that out, because she is then wearing that darkness and carrying it with her, through into the sunlight, so that even in the sunlight, she still has that darkness with her.
And then we get a beautiful tonal, like a visual tonal shift when Ford walks up to her at school, and the camera sort of circles around them at a couple of different angles, and there's this foreboding, predatory kind of music playing under, and it's almost played like she seems very detached in that moment. The camera is moving, he's moving, but she's very still, and she's sort of going through the motions of having this conversation with him. But it's kind of like, now that she has this knowledge about Angel and what he has done, who Drusilla is, what he did to her, and what he did deliberately. Because that's the really chilling part of that story to me, is not just Angel's, what he calls his obsession with Drusilla, but that he did this. It was systematic. It was deliberate. She is the way she is because of what he did to her mind. That is some fucked up shit right there.
It is. But also, like, here we go back again to this thing. Like, what is he responsible for, right? We have Buffy telling Ford in this episode, right, that you don't just get to live on happily ever after. The demon has all of your memories, but is not you.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So is Angel, but Angel is held responsible and remembers and feels responsible for everything he did while he was a demon.
Yeah.
So is it that the demon, the demon that Angel, at first he was Liam, right? He was just a regular kid in Ireland, being a lazy, worthless lout, right? He gets turned into a demon, and then he becomes what he is now. And that when he gets his soul back, he does not turn back into Liam, but yet he continues to be a variation on Angelus, Angel.
Yeah.
Right? So even though, like, Liam may not be responsible for what Angelus did, Angel is, because Angel is not Liam.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, is that, like, the soul that he got is a soul that was attached to Angelus, right? But he still remains a variation on Angelus, right? I mean, that's the only thing I can think of is that the transition, when you get a soul, you don't become who you were before you were vamped. You become a vamp with a soul, right?
Yeah, I mean,
so he's still all of those things.
I guess that checks out. I mean, I think that Drusilla is actually a really great clue to how much of you remains when you're a vampire, because Angel tells us that he destroyed her mind before he turned her. So, and we read Drusilla as real out there. I mean, not great representation of the neuroatypical population, but
sure.
Whatever. But Drusilla is fascinating.
Yes.
Because she seems to, how do I want to say this? Her knowledge of the past seems to coexist with her present mental space. We know that she's, I don't know what it is. She is able to see and experience things that no one else in the world is able to. So
yeah, she's slightly reality shifted.
Yeah.
Like, she sees things that other people don't see. And she's right.
Yes.
You know, I mean, we
Yeah.
have this moment where she says, your heart stinks of her, poor little thing. She has no idea what's in store. Right.
Yeah.
And we know, of course, having watched all of Buffy, me multiple times, like, you know, we know what's in store for her, and it ain't good.
Yeah.
Like the rest of season 2 for her is basically going to be one long slog into hell.
Yes.
Like it's very, very bad for Buffy in season 2. And it's loving Angel that takes her to that space, that brings her to this darkness, you know? And so it's kind of interesting because Drusilla always seems to know, and she has the sight, which is something that we established, you know, later, that she's always had the sight, that she could see things. She knew she was always psychic, right? But now she's psychic and damaged in such a way that she's kind of phase shifted. Like she can see things that nobody else sees, but she can never explain it.
Yeah.
You know, she can never be like, okay, this is what's going to happen. This is how shit's going to go
Right.
down, right? You know, instead, it's always these like little poetic droplets that she'll like lay down, you know, and then you have to understand them, but you would never be able to figure it out until you've seen everything. And then you're like, oh, that's what she was talking
Right.
about, you know? So Drusilla is kind of fascinating in that way, and so beautiful and interesting. She wears these Edwardian dresses. You know, she is very much a product of her time, which is really interesting because Spike, we see, moves in the now.
Oh, yeah.
Spike lives in the moment. Spike's leather. He's wearing jeans. He's wearing, you know,
Yeah.
button-down shirt. Like he is not living in, you know, I guess the 19th century is when he was turned. But she is, you know, she's very much like, you know, like wearing those kind of dresses and living in that space. And it's so interesting that these two, you know, would be so drawn together. He is forever changing and she is always the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I love that she is creepy just by existing. Like just her presence is creepy. And again, that is, I want to say, has a lot to do with Juliet Landau's performance. It's
she's a
so
genius.
good. I mean, hair and makeup is part of it too. When we see the photograph of her in Giles's reference material, she doesn't look quite so otherworldly. I mean, you can see that fantastic bone structure, but she doesn't look quite so out there. But she's, I mean, damn. I mean, when she says, well, I'm not a person, see? She's almost offended. There's a little bit, and I don't know that was necessarily on the page. I don't know that was in the script. There are so many little moments with Drusilla, especially in that opener, that I can't imagine how a director would direct an actor to do that. I want to say that it comes from her.
Yeah, I think it's just something that she brought to it.
I mean, the way that, you know, when she says, my dear boy's gone all the way, hasn't he, to her, and then she opens her mouth in this little, like, not quite a laugh.
Yeah.
It's this I gotcha face. It's so good. It's so good. And it really drives home for me the idea that Drusilla knows everything. Drusilla knows everything that's going on. And she's so aware. But when she said, you brought up the line, you know, she says, your heart stinks of her. She has no idea what's in store. What is she talking about? Is she talking about the curse of the constantly misunderstood sex shaming plot device?
Right.
Exactly. Or is she talking about herself and the way that Angel, because he was obsessed with her, destroyed her? Now, I'm not arguing that Angel is obsessed with Buffy in the way that he was obsessed with Drusilla, but
but that loving Angel is usually not something that ends well
not so good
for women.
Yeah,
like it doesn't typically end well, you know. And I think that's a real, you know, it's something I think that he is aware of, right? Because when he comes to Buffy's house and he tells her who he is trying to tell her, this is what I am.
Yeah.
Like, if you make this choice, and she says, you know, don't I get to choose? Don't I get to make that decision? And he's like, fine, you make that decision, but let me just give you a little glimpse into who I am and what I've done, you know, before you decide that. Right. And it is like, it's so complicated and nuanced. And I love this opening interaction with Angel and Drusilla, because we don't get, oh, I remember the time that you tormented me,
right.
yada, yada, yada. We see his guilt with her. Mm-hmm. We see her connection to him. We get our first dear boy, right? Which becomes a big thing in Angel with Darla, calls him dear boy. And of course, Darla means dear one, right? Yeah. So there's something in these connections that are resonating here even now, and it's so incredibly beautifully done. And I think this is one of the first episodes of Buffy where we go this deep and this dark, and we don't with Buffy, we maintain kind of a lightness, even with, all the stuff that happens in Buffy. There's always a certain level of lightness that's maintained, except for in certain deep dips, and this is one of the first times that we go dark in Buffy. And I love it. I mean, even to the point where we've got Drusilla coaxing the dead bird.
Oh my
right?
God, I love that.
I mean, it's brilliant, and Spike is it's dead, we get them, you don't feed them, and then they die, right? And Drusilla's
yeah, she just whimpers and pulls away.
I know.
It's her reaction. That reaction to me suggests an awareness of her own mental state. Similar to when Angel says, "Take Spike and get out," and she says, "Or you'll hurt me." No, you can't. Not anymore. It is almost like demon Drusilla. And here we go again with what part of the vampire is the person that it was before.
Right.
But it's almost like demon Drusilla is remembering human Drusilla's mental torment under Angel. It's so good.
And compared to that, he can't hurt her, even if he kills her, even if he stakes her. It's nothing compared to what he's already done. Yeah. So I mean, it's really, really interesting. Oh, yeah. I like that.
Yeah,
sorry.
But there it is again with Drusilla coaxing the dead bird, and she is very otherworldly in that moment, and Spike is in the now. He's trying to get her to talk about what's going on now, and finally he loses his patience with her and says, "The bird is dead. It's all dead. You didn't feed it, and it's dead." He loses it because he wants that now. He doesn't, he says later to Ford that he doesn't do well with tradition, or he doesn't care for tradition. I forget what his line is. He's not interested in staying in the past. He's not interested in doing things the way that they've always been done.
Yeah.
Spike is now, let's
Spike
do this
is of the moment. Yeah, Spike is of the moment. And I love that when Ford comes in and he's such a, tell me I've got 30 seconds left or whatever. Spike has no patience for it.
He's the director. Ford is the director, and he wants to run the whole show, literally and figuratively. He wants everyone, he is the one giving orders to everyone. And Spike is having none of it. Spike is I'm not a character in your movie. I'm not going to do this for you.
I've seen you for 2 minutes and I can't stand you. I do not feature you living forever. But then he does turn him.
Yeah.
In the end, he keeps his word. That's interesting.
Yeah, I
know we need to have Ford turned so at the end Buffy can stake him, right? Because Buffy has to have that moment where she closes out this loss of innocence, completely, right? And commits herself to that's where she is. There's no going back. After she's staked Ford, that's it.
Yeah.
You can't turn around from there, right? So it's really, interesting to me that Spike hates Ford, right? But Ford delivered to Spike, gave Spike the Slayer. It's not Ford's fault that she got away from him, and in the end, he doesn't kill him. He turns him, or somebody does.
I wondered about
that.
So
he keeps his word.
That seemed odd to me. And again, I understand why it happens for storytelling reasons, but I was like, really?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I guess.
I didn't expect him to actually turn Ford.
Yeah.
I thought he was, absolutely just going to kill him, but he actually did turn him. And I think that that's interesting. And, I like, why would he make that choice? And I think that if he knew, and I don't know that we get this, but if he knew that Ford meant something to Buffy, then that would be a motivation for him to turn him, because that would make Buffy chase after her old friend and, leave Spike alone for a day,
Yeah.
And Spike only ever thinks in terms of what's good for me in the next 15 minutes.
Yes.
But it's really like, it's such a great episode.
Yeah.
I love this episode. I've always liked this episode. I remember it poorly because it's one of those things when the bad guy, or the monster of the week or whatever isn't great, and Ford is not great. Ford is floppy-haired douchebag without the floppy hair. Like, he is absolutely just another one in a long string of this guy, for Buffy.
Yeah.
So Ford is not interesting, and he's really not great. But this episode is so good. And of course, Joss Whedon wrote it, and whatever Joss Whedon's faults, and he has many, man, can he put an episode of television together? Like, this is beautiful, and I love everything. And then, we get to that end, with Giles and Buffy. And Giles, I love this whole thing with Giles and Buffy. I love that he is, go out, have fun, enjoy yourself, take the night off, here's my information. You can beat me. And then she's like, no, Ford knows. And he takes her aside and he's like, okay, are you just telling everybody now? Like, is this a thing? Are you doing it to impress a cute boy?
I loved that so much. I love Giles kind of showing more understanding of Buffy. I did think it was interesting that he didn't say, how does he know? Like, because Buffy says, I didn't tell him he knew. And Giles isn't like, wait a minute. How does everybody know?
But I also love, too, that he was like, are you doing this to impress a cute boy? And instead of being judgmental about it, he's just asking the question.
It's so sweet.
It's really very sweet.
Yes.
But God, this whole moment at the end. And this is Giles. Like, this is who Giles is. This is who he becomes. This is who he will be for the rest of the time. Like, he deals with her as he's walking her through this process of losing her innocence, which is something that adults do with kids all the time, right? Because innocence is lost in a number of different ways. It is not just sexual. There are a number of ways in which you lose your innocence as you go through the world.
It's
exactly,
every day.
And he's walking her through this in such a kind and loving and yet respectful way. He doesn't treat her like she's a kid. He just treats her like she's someone who has experiences, or he has experiences that she hasn't had, and he can kind of help walk her through it. So he is really like working with her as a true mentor, but he doesn't treat her like a child. He doesn't ever try to, he only lies to her when she asks him to, and I love that.
It's the sweetest of lies, too. It's so dear. It is so dear. I love that. I mean, that is some fantastic writing right there.
Yes. Giles is absolutely the best. Unlike Xander. Shadow Xander's back,
oh, yeah.
y'all. So...
Do we have to be so hard on Xander? Yes, we really do. Because he's
we do. Xander does not have much in this episode, but what he has is complete Shadow Xander. First of all, Buffy's upset because of what happened with Angel, and she's worried about this stuff. And instead of being like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you're my friend, I don't want you to hurt," he's like, "Hey, it's me. If Angel's doing something wrong, I want to know because it gives me a happy." Right? Like, he's happy that Buffy's unhappy, and that is not friendship.
Yeah.
That is being a jerk. Then Ford shows up and he's all, jealous and possessive of Buffy with Ford. And it's not cute. It's not fun. I don't like it. And we get very, very little Xander in this episode. And all of it is kind of this just jealous, possessive jerk.
Yeah. You made him do that thing where he's gone. He's even like...
I know.
Like Willow's trying to bring Angel into the friend group and Xander's having none of it.
Yeah, I mean, Xander, there's no reason for him to be a jerk to Angel. Like, he and Angel worked together to save Buffy. That is a bonding experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Angel has saved him a number of times. I mean, granted, you know, Angel pretended to want to bite him, you know, with Spike or whatever, but he didn't actually do it.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that, like, there's no reason for Xander to hold on to this possessiveness with Buffy, and it is not a good look on Xander.
No.
It does not work well for him. I understand it's an easy joke for us to go to, and given that this was written by Joss Whedon, and Joss Whedon, of course, sees Xander as a reflection of himself, and so I don't know. I'm gonna track. Do we get our worst Xander when Whedon is writing him?
Ooh, that's an interesting
because
question.
I think sometimes we do. I think sometimes we do.
Although we get a touch of light Xander when Buffy is sad, and he said he offers to cheer her up with a wild dance party at the Bronze, and he actually does a little wild dance. And then he says, and then he dials it back. You know, he dials it way back. Very calm dance party at the Bronze. Like that felt like true friendship. That moment, and then of course, you know, we have to undo it, because then Ford shows up and Xander becomes awful. Yeah. You know, would I be imposing? Yeah. Oh, only in the literal sense. You know, it's just,
right.
Oh, come on.
Exactly.
Come on.
Shut up, Xander. Just shut up.
Yeah, and
Xander.
we get another fat shaming joke from Xander, which I'm tired of that. Like, it's fat shaming your fat shaming jokes are boring, Joss. Don't do it.
Right. Your fat shaming jokes, your gay jokes, like all of these things are boring and flat, and they're not funny.
You're just showing your prejudice. It's not okay, and it's not funny. So
it's not funny. It's just, I mean, like, the thing is, if a joke is funny, even if it's in bad taste, like, generally I'll be like, all right, legit joke.
Yes.
Right? You know,
yes.
Like, even if it's in bad taste, I'll be like, gotta respect the craft, right? But when it's one of these kinds of jokes and it's not even funny, then it's just even worse. Yeah. Like, that makes it even worse. Like, it's bad enough that it's fat shaming, or that it's gay shaming, or that it's whatever kind of stupid stuff comes up, but the joke isn't good. So, you know, like, at least show me some craft, you know.
There you go. There you
so
go.
that I think almost offends me more.
Yes. Well,
it's just that the jokes aren't good.
As a writer, I can imagine why. Like,
yes.
You have access
absolutely.
to all the words, and that's what you chose to write? Come on. Really?
Right.
Really.
So I think generally, overall, there's a couple of little things that I thought were really funny. I love, when Buffy makes that joke about it, and I listen to the Divinal song, I touch myself, and now I've just realized what that is. And then she leaves with Ford, and Xander's talking, and you see Willow in the background with this confused look on her face. And, Xander's just talking, and then all of a sudden she goes, oh, is that what that song means?
That song is not subtle, guys.
Adorable.
Like that. Again, though, with the bad joke.
Loss of innocence.
All right.
Yes.
The song is not subtle, folks.
I know, but when you're a kid, they were children when the song comes out when you're a kid, you don't know what it means. And then because you're so used to it, you don't think about it. And then it's just there and you don't really question it, you know? And so again, like, we have a loss of innocence all the way through. And the loss of innocence comes with the realization that reality is not what you thought it was.
That's true.
And here we have a tiny, fun, light moment of that, even with Willow. And I thought that was really cute.
Well, and it's there from the moment we cut to Xander and with Willow in the background. Yeah. You can see the wheels turning. It's great.
The confusion. I know.
It's a great performance
so
moment.
Brilliant.
I don't buy the not knowing what the song was about, but that's all right. That's fine.
I buy it. If you're a kid, when you hear that stuff, like, you don't, and you never think about, oh my God, is that what it means? Like, honestly, yeah. Yeah, there's tons of stuff. There's songs that were out when I was a kid that to this day I probably still don't know what it means. It's blatantly clear. But because my first interaction with it was when I had that innocence, you know.
Well, I was a weird kid.
then-
I've been breaking down words and lyrics since I was tiny, so maybe I'm just
Okay, so
maybe I'm
you
showing
may be
my
unusual.
weird.
I was very innocent and always accepted everything, whatever it seemed to be or whatever. So yeah, I've absolutely no idea. I have no idea about a lot of that stuff. All right, so what do we have for what are you wearing? This is an interesting outfit show.
There's some good outfits. I mean,
Yes.
we talked already about Jenny calling Giles on his tweed collection.
Yes.
Do you own anything else?
I know.
And I love that he's just grasping at straws in that moment. You know, he just doesn't
Yes.
want to be surprised.
I know, but also like when they call them back from the monster truck date, he's actually not wearing tweed. He's wearing a blue blazer. Like he's, it's a different Giles. This is nighttime Giles, baby. This is sexy time Giles. No sweater
That
vest.
blue button
Yeah.
front shirt and a necktie.
There you go. It's nice.
Yeah.
I'm saying he looks
No,
good.
he does. He looks wonderful, and he looks like he's ready to go to the opera or the ballet, which I absolutely love. And then,
And
oh
he
God,
was at Monster Trucks.
poor Giles. You took him to Monster Trucks. I
Right.
love Buffy kind of scolding Miss Calendar in that moment. Like, how dare
Right.
you? Like, don't you care?
Like,
about
have you met
Yeah,
Giles?
exactly. Like that's actually what it says in my notes. It says, "Have you met Giles?" But there's some.
It's
yeah,
so cute.
It's such a great moment. It's so great, and I know I've said it before. I really like Giles and Jenny as a couple. I
do too. They're kind of sweet.
I really like them, and I know it goes horribly, and I'm choosing not to think about that right now because
Right now, you don't
don't
have to. Right now, you can just enjoy them because they're
live in the
cute.
moment.
Live in the moment.
But we get some, great costuming on Chanterelle and Diego.
Yes.
Diego with his blue lame
And they both have one outfit. They have one Vampire Club outfit each.
Yeah.
Like they wear the same thing in every scene. And you know what? That's fine. I can get it. You're 16 years old. You pretty much only have one
You
outfit.
have that one vampire outfit. But,
And you got it for Halloween, right?
but I love Angel saying these people don't know anything about vampires, what they are, how they live, how they dress. And then the kid walks behind him and passes him wearing
Dressed in the exact
exactly
same
what he's
outfit.
wearing.
That is pretty cute.
It's
pretty
great.
cute.
And I think it's the previous scene, or maybe it's the next scene, Buffy is wearing the reverse of that. Angel has a red shirt with a black jacket, and Buffy's wearing a black shirt with a red jacket. And we've done that before with them. We've also done parallel outfits with them before, but I just thought that was an interesting little choice to make them mirror flipped that way.
Yeah.
But there's a wonderful moment where I feel like the clothing really adds to the storytelling. When Buffy confronts the vampire cult at the club, she's telling them, you're playing in serious traffic here. And Chanterelle and Diego are standing there. And we cut to them, and Chanterelle is wearing red, and Diego's wearing white and blue. And so together they are red, white, and blue. And I thought that was very interesting that we get the American flag in the Vampire Club. We don't get it, and we get it on Xander. Xander wears red and white, but we don't get it on Willow. We don't get it on Buffy or Ford or Angel. Ford wears green and orange a lot, which I don't know what to do with that. When in the bronze, he's wearing green and Xander's wearing red, and they're sort of a nice, there's that nice parallelism, with the complementary colors there, because of course Xander is being all jealous, and Willow is wearing a fantastic button front shirt in that scene at the Bronze, and I want somebody who knows more about fashion to tell me what that print is, and was this like, because it looks like faces. And I don't know, I don't know enough about fashion to say what it is, or if that was popular, or if it's vintage, or what. It's amazing. She wears an amazing button front shirt. Fashion Twitter. Fashion Twitter / Buffy Twitter. I'm sure that's a huge overlap.
That's a thing.
Huge overlap. But, Buffy in that scene where she's confronting the vampire cult followers, is wearing, I think she's wearing tan. Like, she's very earth tones. She's very grounded.
She's grounded.
Grounded in reality. And here they are in their, like, bright, flashy vampire garb. I don't know. It's
Halloween costume garb. Yeah.
Although, I have to say, I gotta give it to Chanterelle with her, all of that intense vampire makeup she wears. She still manages to be, like, the vulnerability comes through. The sincerity comes through.
She is hugely vulnerable.
It's great when you can sell it with all of that makeup on your face.
And when Angel challenges her, and then later on she says, one of them was mean. Like, her innocence is just huge in that moment.
Fantastic.
And it's so, like, watching her evolve through all those identities is really fun in the background. It's really easy to, like, never notice that it's the same girl. We get some hints about it, But yeah, like, you never notice that it's the same girl.
She doesn't know that Chanterelle is a mushroom.
She doesn't know.
So
I know, and it's so sweet. It's so sweet. All right, so Arg the patriarchy. What you got for me this week?
I mean, do we even have to talk about Ford and what an entitled prick he is?
Yeah.
I mean, basically everything he does, especially his defense. Everybody lies, and then trying to convince Buffy of his rightness in this moment. It's just, he's so entitled and so icky. He's going to sacrifice all of these people. And then he makes a rape joke. And I'm just nope, I'm done. I can't. I can't. And I mean, and that's in the script. That's writing. And I'm sorry, but I mean, it's a just,
okay, where is the rape joke?
He says, he's trying to align himself with Buffy. He's talking about how great they each are and how horrible the world is. He says, too many people just lay back and take it, but us, and she interrupts him there. And I'm just like, oh, that's, no.
Oh, see, I didn't see that as a rape joke.
I don't know. Lay back and take it? That feels like abuser language to me.
Yeah.
And the way he is speaking down to people who would, in his mind, do this, who would be
who would accept their fate and not try to kill a million other people because they're going to die. As though that is weakness.
Yeah. So, I mean, trigger warning. It feels like a rape joke. I understand. I didn't read it that way, but I can see where you get that. Yeah. That is that's where I went with it.
No, I think that makes sense. I mean, I was thinking of it in terms of, take the beating.
Yeah.
Right? Like when a bully is beating up on you and you just take it. But lie back and take it.
It's the lay back.
I think that you have I think you have clear textual evidence for it being a rape reference, but I didn't see it that way, but I think you're right.
But I mean, not to play devil's advocate, because the devil needs no advocates, but isn't that rape culture? Not seeing a rape joke when it clearly, I mean, and I hesitate to even call it a joke. It's not a joke. It's a
reference. Yeah.
But it's I think it's delivered with that kind of sinister quality that rape jokes are often delivered. Like it's because just like rape is about power, so is joking about it or referencing it when it's done to further your creepy bad guy agenda. Yeah. So now we really do have to put a trigger warning on this episode, but oh well. Oh, God. Oh,
that's all right. You know what? We really need to put a trigger warning on life.
Oh, God. You know? Right? Jesus. Jesus.
All right. So let's move on to something better. How about your girl power moment of the week?
Well, I do love Buffy standing up to Angel and saying, you know, shouldn't I get to choose? Like she says, yeah, I love you. I'm not sure I trust you. And he says, maybe you shouldn't do either. And she says, she yells at him, you know, and says, you don't get to tell me what I should and shouldn't do.
Right. Yep. Yeah. You know, I mean, people put all of this, she has all this responsibility. You know, she's the Slayer. She's got to face all this stuff. She's got to grow up faster than she wanted to. Like all of these things that she has to face, you know, and yet people are still trying to protect her. You shouldn't love me. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't trust me. You know, if you don't want her to love you and trust you, leave town, dude. Like, you know, if you really want to protect her from you. But also that it's like, you know, we take her agency away from her, you know, by doing that. And he's doing that. You shouldn't, you know. But I mean, in the same way, though, like he tells her everything that he's done, shares all of that with her, and then lets her make her choice. And I think that that's, you know, that's pretty good. But she's right. Like, you know, she should be the one who gets to choose for her.
Well, and I love that it echoes, or not echoes. I love that we get a reference to that again when she's talking to Ford at the end. And he says, I don't have a choice. And she says, you do have a choice. You don't have a good choice. And I love that. I love Buffy giving Ford the advice she needs to hear. Right. Anyone who hangs out with me knows that one of my guiding principles of life is people give the advice they need to hear. Yes. I like that Buffy is talking to herself in that moment, too, about, you know, well, and she says, you know, he tells her he's dying, and she says, I didn't know. And she's genuinely sorry for him, but she doesn't excuse his behavior. Yeah. And I think that's a nice reflection of her conflict with Angel as well, that she loves him and she's horrified by this truth about him. She's not going to excuse it, but she has feelings for him. But like it's a wonderfully complicated emotional space to be in. Yeah. And it's handled, I mean, I think Buffy handles that emotional roller coaster really, really well. Buffy herself, the character, not necessarily, not the show necessarily, but Buffy as a character, I think, is really, really excellent at holding all of those ideas simultaneously. Yeah. And it's very sad. Yeah. It's, you know, Ford, it's very sad that you're dying and you don't get to slaughter all of these people.
Right. Well, no, I like her moment where she's like, you know, isn't this exactly how you imagined it? You tell me, I feel sorry for you. And she's like, I do feel sorry for you, but these people come in here and start killing people. I'm going to kill you myself. Yes. You know, like she is not taking any of his bullshit, you know, and I like that where she's like, you don't have a good choice, but you have a choice, you know, and even then she still gives him a chance. Help me. Yeah. Don't do this. And he doesn't. You know, so yeah, I think that Buffy is amazing in this episode. I love her in this episode. I think she is so strong. It's so horrible, all the stuff that she's having to deal with, and yet she deals with it with such strength and grace and power. And I love all of that. Yeah. All right. So what's your favorite part, LaCroix?
My favorite part is Allison Hannigan's entire performance in this episode. Yes. The Willow we get in Lie to Me is just delightful and about 9 kinds of vulnerable. But yes, I mean, I absolutely love her not being able to lie to Buffy. Like, it literally makes her jumpy. And Buffy says, have you been drinking coffee again? We talked about this. Yes. She says, and that forced laugh of being where she is being found out, but also she's getting away with this lie. Buffy thinks it's coffee, not that she's been talking to Angel. It's amazing. She goes through an entire, lifetime's worth of emotion in that moment. But my absolute favorite is the Willow that we get when she's got Angel in her bedroom and she's trying to be a good friend to everybody and trying so hard. I mean, I think Willow trying to be a good friend is my favorite Willow, full stop. And we get that here with Angel. We also get it with Buffy when Buffy tells Willow that Ford knows she's the Slayer. And she says, wow, it's neat. Is it neat? She's like, she has her genuine reaction and then she has to backpedal. Like, okay, wait, am I doing friendship right? Am I connecting? Because I really like these people and I want them to like me. And oh God, I hope I'm friending right.
So
and
cute.
I think
She's
that
so sweet.
As a kind of awkward person myself, I feel like that is something that I really, really identify with. That really speaks to me. I just want to be a good friend to this person. And that Willow is just my favorite Willow of all the Willows.
She's fantastic.
All right, what you got for me? What's your favorite part?
Oh, Giles. Giles and Buffy at the end. Honestly, it is not just my favorite moment in this episode, but it is one of my all-time favorite moments for the whole series. When she, after this whole episode about lies and secrets and trust, she turns to the one person that she can trust, and she says, lie to me.
Yeah.
I mean, and then he does. It is, oh, God. It kills me every time. I love it.
There's something really beautiful about trusting someone enough to allow them to spin a fantasy for you.
Yeah.
That is some level of trust. And then how do you feel about her line, though? She gets the last word. She says, liar.
I wish we didn't
don't
have that.
love that.
I don't either, because I think that it's such a poignant moment where he ends on that. And when she says liar, then we take the poignancy out of it and we make it into a joke. Yeah. And it honestly, for me, is just like it would have been perfect without that. All right, that's it for today. To join in the discussion on Twitter, follow me at Lani Diane Rich and Noelle at Noelle Aloud, and use the hashtag StillPretty. You can also visit the Chipperish forums. Go to chipperish.com, click on forum, and join in the fun.
Or you can keep Chipperish Media going to the tune of $1 a month, or $5 a month, or $10 a month, or $1 million. No, we will take all of the dollars that you care to throw our way. It really helps us continue to produce Still Pretty and all Chipperish Media podcasts. And just $1 gets you access to the live chat in Discord, where you can hang out with me and Lani and all the Chipperish patrons, who are going to get the chance to do 2 things every Chipperish patron should get a chance to do: die young and stay pretty. Visit patreon.com/Chipperish to find out more.
You can also show your support by giving Still Pretty a great review on Apple Podcasts, or by telling your friends about the show, or by promising not to bite us, even if we tell you something you don't want to hear.
That might be one of the most accurate ones of those that we've ever done.
Right.
We will be back next time with The Dark Age, the 8th episode of Season 2. Until then, it's terribly simple.
The good guys are always stalwart and true.
The bad guys are easily distinguished by their pointy horns or black hats.
We always defeat them and save the day.
No one ever dies, and everybody lives happily ever after.